you need me to rescue? Come down.
Go on then, now you've got to pull your own weight up.
Well done, chum. Stupid.
Which is Neil. We'll talk to Neil in a minute, and hopefully we may have a guest joining us live on the screen behind us, if technology allows us, because it's always hard to get hold of people on site. Today we're talking about, is craftsmanship actually a real thing on site these days? What do you think? I'd love to know what you say about that. When you're working on site, is there such a thing as craftsmanship these days, or has that gone out the window? Because apparently complaints to Citizens Advice Bureau have gone up 20% in the last couple of years because of bad workmanship on site. So let us know in the comments and what you think is happening to you on site, and it'd be great to hear from you. Hello to Neil, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Andy, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. You've come all the way from Bedford, I believe?
Yes, I have. It's nice to actually get out and be in this environment.
Now you're a proper craftsman, aren't you?
I am, well, I'd like to think so, yes I am, yeah.
So tell us, what do you do?
So I am a joiner and hardwood floor fitter.
Okay.
So with a lot of what we do in terms of parquet flooring, when we're doing flooring work, we are focusing a lot on detailed work like borders, inlays and things like that. And
lots of technical joints and...
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got borders going on, geometric patterns involved in different species of wood, you've got to CNC out the edges, and you've really got to think about the detail. Everything has to be spot on with that kind of work.
Beautiful. I bet you've got some horror stories for us.
I have.
Fantastic. Have you got any horror stories? Let us know. We've also got a feature at the end of this show that we're going to call Ask Andy. There's a very scary graphic that you'll see for that come on the screen in a minute. And that's where you can ask us any questions that you want, anything that you might be troubled with in construction, or you might be looking at sort of different things in your life. We'll be your agony uncles for today. We can ask any questions. Just put any questions, anything you're struggling with. We'd love to know that. So what we're going to do now is just look at some photographs, because we've had some sent in, and I just want to share these with you because these photographs are amazing. And you may have seen these on the page, but we've got some brilliant photographs to share with you. And the first one, you may have seen this. I don't know if you can see that there, Neil.
Is impressive.
Yeah, that's good. It's like some sort of, it's like a graveyard. There's some headstones have been stolen. So some German tourists have put the towels down already for the summer holidays coming up. That's unbelievable. That good craftsmanship there, do you think?
No, I mean, that's a bit of a...
That is unbelievable.
Bit of shrinkage going on there. I'm just looking at what's underneath.
Yeah, well, just gravel, I think. Just chuck some water on there. That'll be absolutely fine in the morning. That's probably what they said as they walked away. It looks like, it does look like some sort of graveyard, doesn't it? So thank you to whoever sent that in. That's unbelievable. As we move on to our next photograph, this has been sent in by a plumber, I think, from Essex, who accidentally ripped his trousers. You could tell us a plumber there, Neil, because there's £20 notes. If it had been a floor layer, of course, it'd be £50 notes.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
or £30 notes if it was a labourer, maybe. So thank you for that, plumber. Send it in. Get yourself a new pair of trousers. You can afford that. Moving on next, we've got, this has been sent in. I actually know the guy that runs this company. It's a marquee company from Bath. And they've had a lot of phone calls about this because they've got their guys on the back there, the best erections in the Southwest. And they've had loads of phone calls from that, mainly from men wanting to know what the secret is, Neil.
I mean, what's going on inside the van? That's what I'm after.
And I love the thing that they blurred out is the phone number rather than the massive erections there. And our next photograph has been sent in. Some electricians down in Bournemouth have come up with a brand new way of looking cool on site, staying cool, and of course keeping safety. Would you wear them, mate?
I'm just trying. It depends on what adhesive they've used to stick them on.
Oh yeah, it's going to be that no-nail stuff, isn't it? So would you wear them? I think that they'd suit electricians fantastically. And just finally, just to end this session off, we've been sent in a lovely video just to prove health and safety, which is some lovely guys on a roof watering it down and giving it a bit of a clean. There we go. That health and safety. Now you think there that he's actually home. All right. So there we go. That actually wasn't a rope he was holding onto there. It was the pipe he was holding onto. Health and safety straight out of the window. Lovely stuff. Ever done anything as crazy as that?
No, not that risky. No, thankfully I don't have to go on roofs.
So can we get on the screen Dean, who's a professional bricklayer from Essex? Will it work? Here we go. We've got a screen behind us. Hopefully Dean's going to come up. But if not, we'll leave him to get on for his day because I know he's very, very busy. How long did it take you to get here today, mate?
About an hour and 20.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, so it's not too bad. Roads are still quite clear. Which
There he is on screen. Can you hear us there, Dean?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Brilliant. It works. What a team, eh? How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, my man. Yeah, what's happening? Listen, let's see if this technology works. They're meant to look bigger on TV. Is that right?
Hey, tattoos can do that. They can make anything look bigger.
Yeah.
You got the day off today?
Yeah, well, I've been pricing jobs the last 2 days. I like to spend midweek towards the end of the week, price them so I can sit down and really work on them over the weekend. So, and obviously looked at the forecast today. It's a little bit hit and miss. So I like to try to time it if I can, you know. But anyway, how are you guys? All right?
We're good, thank you, mate. What do you class your trade as? What do you call yourself when someone asks you what you do?
Well, you know, it is an out-and-out bricklayer. Someone says to me, what do you do? I mean, my trade name is the traditional bricklayer, you know. And, yeah, a bricklayer, but I think as times have changed a little bit, it's, you know, I think there's two types of bricklayer now. There's a brickie and there's a bricklayer. So only bricklayers will know that terminology at the moment, but I think that's going to come into play in the next 5-10 years, you know. Okay,
well, we'll talk about that in a minute, what you think the difference is.
Yeah, sure.
I've got a question for both of you. We're talking about craftsmanship. I'll come to you first, Neil.
Yeah.
How would you define craftsmanship in a single sentence?
So I would define it as attention to detail and passion within your craft and what you do and focusing on the finer details. That's what I see craftsmanship as.
Fantastic, brilliant. What about you, Dean? What would you define sort of craftsmanship as?
That can produce a bit of magical work just with his enthusiasm, his mind and his trowel. Notice I said just a bricklayer.
Yeah,
I'm very personal.
I've saw some quotes what people think it is. One is a refusal to compromise on quality for the sake of economy, because we see that a lot, don't we? People cutting corners sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
Another one is we build structures to last generations, not just quick fixes, and we use the finest materials and methods. So that is craftsmanship, isn't it? So I'll come to you, Dean. What things have you seen on site that you think that is absolutely terrible?
Do you know what? I'm not in the business of putting people down, you know that. But overall, it is evidently clear craftsmanship and bricklaying has reduced, okay, over the years. particularly on the new builds. Now, I had an interesting conversation with a couple of architects last week who I do a lot of work for. And my emphasis on this has always been they're just designing these square boxes these days. There's no real passion or artwork in the houses, you know, whereas in the old days, the early 1900s, to have a bullseye, an arch in your house, it was a sign of wealth. It was a sign of a man showing his ego. Look at my house, you know, a sign of strength. Nowadays, they're built just square boxes. And I had a conversation with him and I said, look, why do you guys keep designing these? Obviously, it's to do with time and money. You keep designing these square boxes. They're just throwing them down. And do you know what? Very interesting. He replied, he said, Dean, statistically, we haven't got the craftsmen anymore. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, the time it takes to do an arch correctly and the time it takes is too money absorbing. He said, gone are the days where arches could be included in drawings and in the financial side of things where they could be performed and created at a good quality and at a good pace. So what he was trying to explain in so many words nowadays is bricklayers cannot do an arch or a bullseye in a nice rated time and produce the quality still. So what they've done is they have these arches and bullseyes now prefab, pre-made. You have them ordered to site. They come in they come in third. It was interesting to hear their side. So a super developer is looking at the key points of obviously time, materials, and they've taken account that they haven't got the craftsmanship to put these arches in by hand as they would do 30 plus years ago. Yeah, so statistically, it's facts here, you know.
I always love cathedrals. When you look at cathedrals, sorry, buddy, there's a slight lag there. If you want to look at proper craftsmanship, cathedrals are amazing things to look at. What do you see on site? Any type of things?
I mean, like on site, obviously, like, you know, I just echo what Dean said about there's no real craftsmanship on site much anymore because it is about time and, you know, cutting costs and things like that. And they are just building these square brick flat pack furniture houses essentially, yeah. So they're in and they're out. So skirtings get fitted because, you know, they're just in a rush. They get them onto the walls. Like tolerances aren't always taken into account. I've been on some new builds where the staircases, the stringers are coming away from the wall.
Yeah. So new builds seem to be where this is.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It is, you know, so there's a thin line between craftsmanship in new builds and then just in general day-to-day people's homes that have lived in for like 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah. And, you know, like Dean's saying about all these older properties, there's a lot of craftsmanship that's gone into the exterior structure of those buildings. And then on the inside, sometimes you face worse challenges where over the years they've put radiators in that don't suit the period of the house. So then they've gone through skirting boards that are like 11 inches high and they're traditional. You can't get them anymore. Yeah. So, you know, it's a big mix between trades. Sometimes people don't think about, you know, the impact on what they're doing, you know, and it is showing a bad example to new people coming into the trades that, you know, if this is how you do it, you know, that's kind of like leading them down the wrong approach.
Well, I'm an electrician, and I've been an electrician for sort of 25 years, I suppose. And in the last year, there's been a mass rush to get loads of rental properties tested. So I've done like 100 tests in the last years. And it has been depressing to see the standard of workmanship that people have left. And we're talking about electrics here, things that can kill you.
The stuff that matters.
Unbelievable. I saw a chap had moved a fuse board 1.5 meters to the left like that, and the guy said there seems to be some fizzing and buzzing from us in the attic. And what he'd done to move the cables, he just twisted them together, the cables, live cables, and wrapped tape around it, and then extended the. That's correct. I just can't believe it, and it's been quite depressing seeing what other electricians been doing. Is that happening in your? Let us know in the comments. What have you seen? If you've got any photographs, by the way, just put them in the comments of some stuff that you've seen, or maybe some amazing craftsmanship, because there is still amazing craftsmanship out there. We've got some photos actually, some unbelievable craftsmanship that's been sent in, and I'll first one here, I think, have a look at this one, guys. I think this one's been, I think it's been an exposed wall there. At least they've got an RSJ at the top. But there's no pride gone into that at all. They've just found stuff on site and
Stuck it in.
Dino's nodding his head, shaking his head. Then the next photograph's one of my bugbears because I'm an electrician, and you've got to put things in what's called zones. You've got to, with switches and sockets, you've got to go either straight up or sort of horizontally across. And that looks like a slug's just sort of gone across the wall, hasn't it?
It's like that electric current, just going wherever.
That is a favourite thing for an electrician to do if they're pulling a cable out, to pull it out to see where the cable goes. And so, if someone had gone and knocked a picture hook in the wall or something like that, or drilled something, they would have gone straight for the cable because there's nothing to tell them that there's there. Dean's going to love this next picture. That's none of your work, mate, is it?
I could name a few, but I'm not getting it for legal reasons.
This came off your phone.
Yeah.
I saw some Spanish builders build once. They build like this, but they render everything. And
they do. They don't actually do any exterior brickwork, do they? They get that.
They cover it, and it looks fantastic when it's done. And finally, roofers out there, you're going to absolutely love this. There's like just two ridges that they didn't know what to do to join them together. But I suppose that would work. That would keep the rain off. Would it work?
It's definitely a bespoke fit, isn't it? It's bespoke, that's for sure.
If you've got any photographs like that, please send it in because we love stuff like that. Let's look at what we've got on comments. We've got some stuff sent in that you've been writing to us and telling us about things on Facebook. So my first comment is from Jason Cook. Hello, Jason. He says, I'm a chippy and there aren't many of us left. Too many hammer hands. Hammer hands? Have you heard that saying before? Someone that was just rough saying, I suppose. Yeah. Too many hammer hands on site who think speed, that's what we've been saying, is far more important than quality. Ask them to do anything but hang doors, usually badly, or skirting, or architrave, I suppose, usually just as badly as the doors, and then they're screwed. Thank you, Jason. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Dave Miles is commented and said, too often speed takes precedence, not just what Jason was saying, over quality and craftsmanship. I'm a mature age apprentice chippy. We'll get on that in a minute, Neil, because you were like that as well, weren't you? And I've noticed that teaching and being allowed to perfect craftsmanship is secondary to getting. That is a sad state of affairs. And finally, thank you, Nige Smith. He says, yep, I agree, all about speed and earning big bucks. Ask a first fix chippy to cut a roof, and he won't have a clue. What do you reckon about that, Dean? Does that all ring true?
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing here because I notice all the comments are from chippies. All the bricklayers are at work.
Well, it must not be raining.
Yeah, do you know what? We need to look at the source of the problem here. Now, I'm working on another project at the moment, part of a documentary, and what we've found is if my sitting guild's apprenticeship was between 4 and 6 years, now an MVQ apprenticeship is 2 years. So how has someone reduced a craftsman trade from 6 years to 2 years? And we wonder why we're having problems and complaints going up. Now, what's happening is the lack of apprentices coming into the trade as bricklayers, and the generational changes now. Now, the good old school bricklayers. So on my apprenticeship, we was taught the difference in the bonds, the arches, bullseyes, and we learned line work on site. That was a given. We didn't do much line work in college. It was all about architectural, knowledge. Nowadays in college, it's all about line work because they don't do the architectural, the feature work. So the problem we've got now is that generation is retiring. They're at 60s, 70s, 65s. So in the year 99, 2000, if you were 16 years old, you would have been trained from an apprenticeship by these old school. Now, by now, you would be aged 38, 39. You'd have had 20 years experience. So that level of quality would have maintained. Then that generation would teach the younger ones coming through the classes of 2010, for example. So the problem we had was the internet revolution in 2000. Kids didn't want to go on a trail. Why would you want to go lay 1,000 bricks all day when you can go on a computer? It was a phenomenon. So The input of apprentices in the year 2000 was so slow. That's what we had. So we needed to input then. So we have lack of bricklayers now, and I suppose it's the same in carpentry as well. It all comes down to statistics and figures, and what are we doing as a nation to encourage these youngsters to come on board and learn a trade?
I did it. You're right. I did an apprenticeship. It was 4 or 5 years. NVQ, it was called, I suppose. But I was taught by old school electricians, and everything was done slowly. And that was 25 years ago. It was a proper apprenticeship. You did yours slightly differently. You learned to be a joiner slightly differently.
Yeah, I did. I done my courses and I retrained and learned it properly through teaching instruction and things like that. But then after I learnt that, and then I worked for various different companies, you start to pick up bad habits from different people. People all of a sudden start to change what they're doing. And you start to think, hang on, that's not right. So I want to do it right. So I'm going to learn something else that's different. A lot of, the resources nowadays, you can get taught online. That's just a given. It's an easy way of doing it. But like Dean says, the passion comes from those people that are old school, that have done it for years.
Let me stop you there. So you just said that you can learn stuff online.
You can, yeah, you can.
So one of my notes here, is that one of the problems with poor craftsmanship? Do people say, I'm not bothering to get anybody in, or I'm not going to do proper training, I'm going to go and watch a YouTube how-to video? I've done YouTube how-to videos. I'm not saying that they're the wrong thing to do, but I'm saying, do people just watch YouTube videos and think, right, I know what I'm doing now, I'll whack that piece of wood up? Do you think, is that a problem?
It is and it isn't. It helps in some ways, because if you've got a DIYer at home that hasn't got the money to get a chippy in or joiner to do architraves and doors, then sometimes it's nice to learn those little things. The problem is, and I say this to all my customers or any other tradesman or any apprentice that's with me, no wall is straight in the house. So it's all very well you watching a YouTube video that says scribe your internal miters, or bevel them, or do this, or do a cutback, whatever it be. But if a wall ain't straight, or it's got a kick in it, or it dips in, how do you get around that? Do you screw and plug it? Do you just put as much no-nails as you can on it, hold it down? Yeah, use a whole tub of cork. How do you get around that? What is kind of the easiest way of doing it if you're on a budget, or whether or not you want to get it done properly by a tradesman who knows his angles, his cuts, and what he's going to do.
But you trained later in life to be a...
Yes, I did.
But you trained with a company, and you did a trainee, sort of, you did adult traineeship,
yes,
as it were.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, one thing that grates electricians a little bit is I like these 4-week, 5-week courses.
Yeah.
So Dean was just talking about this then, where you can train to be an electrician in 5 weeks. Some electricians call it boil in the bag electrician. And then they go on site and they're doing terrible stuff, and they're getting certificates in like 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. Is that happening in the bricklaying trade? Is it being?
That's really. I just listened to what Neil said about these YouTube videos about the wall that's not straight. Now, YouTube is a funny place. We've just created our channel because I felt I needed to, because I wanted to give a channel of truth, showing creative work and normal standard work. Now, the problem with the learners today is they want it all now. They want it all now. I've not met an apprentice or an up-and-coming tradesman who is willing to put the time in. And exactly what Neil was saying, that wall's not straight. They want to go on YouTube and find out. That comes with years of experience. And this is why they have to respect us ranking officers who have been on site for years, who have been through the mill, who have worked on those wonky walls, with that knowledge. And I just feel in today's society, everything is nah. Everyone's become fast fix, lazy, want it all tomorrow. Now, go back to my apprenticeship, 1.5 years on the odd. Wasn't allowed to pick the trowel up. If I picked the trowel up, I got a clip around the back of the head. It's like as if I was not worthy of it, because these proud men were proud of what they'd done and what they do. And I had to learn the bricks, the mortar, the layout, watching them go down. And do you know what? Then I didn't know what I know now. And I'm thankful for those guys, because they gave me the passion. They gave me standing with my trowel in my hand with my level, and I'm proud. And do you know what? When I try to teach people and they show me one bit of attitude, go. I won't waste my time on them.
I saw a question here, and I think I know what your answers are going to be to this. As society in general, does society value mass production over good craftsmanship?
It's a tough one to call, is it? I think some of it, yeah, it's a tough one to call, but I think you're right. You know, it's a lot of it is mass production nowadays, but there are the majority of people out there are still a group of people out there, customers that we come into contact with every day that have either been let down by someone with a poor quality experience and detail, and they want something better. And if you can get those customers, great, because it then allows you to express your craft even further. One thing that's a bugbear for me is when you go into someone's house and you explain a situation like you've got a low BT socket that the skirting needs to go across. You don't just want to cut it out and then fit it in and have exposed MDF. You want to
electrician.
Yeah, you come across a few of these. You want to let that profile flow underneath the socket. Yeah. So you cut your 45, you return it, and then you cut another 45, and you just follow it all the way.
That's craftsmanship. That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. And things like this, people don't, stick with. People don't do it. They don't adhere to it. They don't have that in their mindset, and they just leave it and just go, that'll be right. Customer won't know.
Do you agree with what we're saying? Has this happened to you? Is it happening to you now? Are you on jobs where you've seen terrible craftsmanship, where people watch a YouTube video and they've done something from YouTube? If you're enjoying what you're watching, and if you'd like to see more, just like this feed that we're doing through this live feed. Just like it, and if you think anyone else can benefit from it, just share it. And so that brings me up to my final bit of this little section: is what do you think the solution is to get over this poor craftsmanship that we're possibly seeing on site?
I think the best way to get around it is increase the knowledge and the experience within site work, and just obviously it's always going to come down to money at the end of the day. It always is. We're in an economy where the whole building trade is growing massively and we're pumping out buildings all the time. But I think the best way for any building company or housing company is to just get experience in there that can oversee.
Yeah, it's always about experience.
Yes, exactly.
What do you reckon, Dean? What's the solution to this craftsmanship issue we've got?
Yeah, just quickly, 20 years ago, guys, I was getting £400 1,000 on a 4-bedroom house, which was valued at around about average value of about 200, 250 at the top. Nowadays, price per 1,000 is £550 per 1,000. And what's the average price of a 4-bedroom house now? 550, 500?
Yeah.
So house prices have more than doubled, but the rate hasn't. So can we really say it's down to money? Because I was doing 20 years ago the same amount of work for the value of the house than what it is in comparison now. So
maybe it's time to look. They want more profit.
Yeah, we have to look deeper. Now, what we have to look into is we have to look into the teachers, the colleges. We have to perform a superstructure to recruit these chippies, these sparkies, these bricklayers. And we have to have a good foundation, and we have to look at what the teachers are teaching. Because I know a couple that the syllabus is very limited, and that's why they're coming out so raw. They're just trying to turn them out. Now, the links adverts, perhaps put a few bricklayers on them. That encourages
biceps like you, mate.
Yeah, the young men to be cool. But now we need to do something social media wise, TV. We need to show these kids, right, that you ask kids what I want to do. That I want to be a computer programmer. I want to be this. I want to. Nothing wrong with that. But we have a reputation as providing the best brickwork is, and I'm telling you something now. We are decreasing in that. There's modern techniques been invented. I see them. YouTube to me is like watching the Superman film or watching Coronation Street. You've got one real life and one what's not, and they make everything. Some of these bricklayers on YouTube make it look, and I read the comments and I'm like, oh my God, like they're idolizing these people. So, but anyway, more links adverts. Let's get these guys on it and let's get these kids in.
We'll try that next time. So we're saying the solution is it's all about training. It's all about education and trying to get people right. So that brings us to the end of our little section. Stay with me, guys, because we're going to do a little a bit now, which is called Ask Andy, where the three of us are going to be your agony ants. Yeah, you wait, Dean. You wait till I hope that hasn't scared anybody. I wish my teeth were that white. Crikey. So we've had some questions sent in, and I think I've got some answers to this. So they've just come in. It's been put on my desk. Tristan Rakes from Bath asks, why is it so hard to get hold of aggregates at the moment? Have you had any problem with any materials at all? Any problems with that? I think I know the answers.
Definitely a question for Dean, that one.
Any problems with that?
The aggregate yards, you know, a lot of the builders' yards are so busy at the moment because there's a boom on. So if you can't get your local builders merchants, try and source your local recycling yard. So, for example, around London here, I've got 2 or 3 where you pull in great bulks of it, and you get direct, and also it's cheaper. You know, a ton of tailings or a ton of sand.
That's an output right there in itself.
It's 50% cheaper. Use my name as a promo code.
That is brilliant advice. So go to the recycler says. I've heard that HS2, the job HS2, are taking a lot of aggregates out of the country and using everything up. So thank you for that, Dean. That's fantastic. Simon Moody from Yorkshire. This is a brilliant question for you, Neil. I've got a little answer, but I think you can answer this one better. What's the best way for an adult to retrain as a tradesman?
Best way to retrain if you're an adult now and you've got to that point in your life, you finally home where you want to go, is do your research on courses that are out there, whether they're 2-week courses, 3-week courses, or yearly courses. Ideally, go for a yearly course because you are going to get a lot more experience from what you're learning. There'll be a lot more variety and diversity and different things that you can touch base on. So that's the best way to go.
See if you can get an adult traineeship with a company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're actually doing the work whilst learning.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. And then our final question is from Kerry Britton, who's down in Plymouth. She says, my apprentice says loads of weird, young and hip words like sick and calm, but not in the original meaning of the sense. Is there a way that I could decipher what they actually mean? Have you got any wisdom for that, Dean? Maybe that's sick?
Yeah, I get it all the time. I get fam, bruv, and all this, you know. Listen, remember you're a ranking officer, right? No student would talk to authority like that. So don't take it. Let them correct themselves, not you correct yours. First mistake there. Remember who you are, and they're learning from you. Tell them to have some manner and some respect.
Brilliant. I love that. What about you, mate? You got any?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I had my apprentice about 3 months ago. I fitted this floor. We got it underneath the architraves, and I explained to him how we were doing it, and he went, "Oh, that's dead." So,
it's dead? Oh, this is a new one. I haven't heard dead.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, if I cut a cable or something? What's going on? And he was like, "Oh, no, it's just like a slang that we use. It means good." And I'm like, "Wait, really?"
I remember asking the apprentice if he's okay, and he said sick. I took him to hospital.
I said to him, I was like, things were a little different when I was at school. Like, no, we probably don't do that here.
What a mad world.
Don't say that when a customer's around.
Thank you very much for that, guys. Tristan, Simon, and Kerry, I hope that's helped you with the old Ask Andy with the crazy graphic there. Dean, thank you so much. A pleasure as always. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, guys.
Legend.
It's good to see you, Dean.
Neil, thank you very much. It's been brilliant.
And you, buddy.
I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. If you have, please like the live feed. I'd like to say thank you to the team here who've been absolutely fantastic, especially Sam, Libby, and James. They've been absolutely brilliant. We hope to see you again soon. We're going to do this in 2 weeks' time, and we hope to see you then. Thank you very much. Bye for now.